Hi! So Where Winds Meet recently updated on January 9th, and it is a huge update. I'm here to go over some of the changes that I've noticed. They updated in such a subtle way. They didn't even go through every single thing that they changed. It was like just shadow dropped. So I want to go through and talk about the things that have changed, or things that I've noticed has changed since before the update. And they fixed a lot of the UI stuff. They fixed a lot of the way that the game works and like how it loads, and it runs so much smoother than it did before. Not that it was really particularly bad before, or it was janky enough in a way that I was okay with it. It was like an acceptable amount of jank, but now it's like much better. So we're gonna go through that. First things first, they added a new mini game. There's a lot of little mini games in this game that I think are so goofy and so funny. But they've added a couple new ones, which is the Jianghu Martial games. And what it is it's basically a race where you carry like an old man or an old woman. And you bring them to Mahjong. They've got a Mahjong game all the way at the end of this course, and you're running through and bringing them the post haste to their Mahjong table, and it's so goofy. The other one is called Master's Rise from Flat Ground, and it is basically just, you know, a human tower where you're stacking as many people as possible. There's 3 rows of it, and you're stacking people, and there's like a little prompt, a little QTE to hold stability, and if everyone holds stability, then you can get as tall as possible. And what's really funny is that they don't measure in how many people have stacked. They measure in when the tower falls forward, and they measure the distance that the people have fallen. And there's like a little chalk outline drawing of the bodies, and it's so funny. It's so goofy. The new update adds the last campaign for Kaifeng, which is the Supreme Freedom. And then that same one, for the Jianghu Legacy, the final lost chapter on this page is also available. Also, the Tales and Echoes, you can complete that now. Before you couldn't complete it because you needed the last bit of the campaign. That's fine now. So you can complete it now if you want to. If you want to be a crazy completionist like I am. Don't look at the fact that Wandering Tales is 41% from me right now. I don't want to talk about it. And here's the thing that they shadow drop that they haven't really mentioned. So if you go into your quests and main story, and notice that there's a little hourglass symbol on the top right. What that is you can basically replay the quest or the scenes or anything like that, and that's really exciting because I would love to redo some of the cutscenes or some of the story, because I did the entire game off stream, and because I just got so caught up in like just playing the game that I ended up not really streaming any of it. So I would love to just like be able to share that with people. So notice that it's not for every single one of them. Some of it has it. Jimingbo has it. But yeah, Echoes and Shrine doesn't have it. So some of them have it and some of them don't. This hourglass symbol was already implemented for the other stuff like encounters. So this was already for encounters, but it wasn't for main story or lost chapter, I don't think. Also, you do have to go through quests, because if you go through journal and go through campaign, I am clicking on it, this doesn't work. So they need to fix that, because that's really misleading. But yeah, I'm excited to redo the Universal Furnace, because I did that completely off stream, and I really want to show people how epic it looks on stream. So that's something that I'm excited to do. They've added the improvement guide. So this is not new. This used to be with Path Guide, or I guess Path Guide used to be called Improvement Guide, and then they split these two apart. To add this, the weekly digest, which is kind of like your, you know, weekly checklist of like things that you should be doing, or like if you have a lot of energy, what you can use it on and stuff like that. Also, they've added the warrior journey up here, which is also exactly the same. So it's a little easier to get to these places. Something new that they added that can help for people who are completionists like I am. In the quests page, there is a encounter journal down here, and it basically tells you which encounters that you have gotten and which ones you have not. So notice that there's a bunch of new ones that they're adding. These are not out yet. I believe they will come out later in January. A couple of these names I recognize that are definitely going to come later on. But yeah, there's going to be a bunch of new encounters that they're adding, and it won't show up on your journal, unfortunately. So if you go into your journal and you've already 100%ed it, it's not going to show up on there, unfortunately, because that's, yeah, it's not going to tell you like where it is. So you'd have to find it in the quests. Oh my god, I keep pressing that by accident. You would find that in the quests over here in the exploration journal. I hope they change that a little bit, because it is going to be a little annoying. It does give you a little sneak peek of the new area as well if you look into the encounter journal. So there's a bunch, there's a couple that's going to be appearing for Kaifeng as well. Also, another thing that they added is the bell. So if you go to Moonvale, here you go. So if you go to the Peace Bell Tower and climb all the way up, then a new quest shows up. So this is the new encounter quest that they added, and this was not here before. As someone who has 100% at Qinghe, it's well, I can guarantee it did not happen before. So so yeah, so that is the new quest called the Bellman's Oath. Things that they're gonna add in the future is the 9 Mortal Ways base that will show up in the Ghostlight District. This area is going to be the 9 Mortal Ways base, I'm going to assume. And yeah, you can't go into it right now. You get pushed back if you do. For the guilds, they added Guild War, which is a 30 versus 30 person guild versus guild type of event, and it only really works if you have 30 people in your guild, which I do not, so I'm not able to do it. And the other thing that they changed is they added, or they made it a little bit easier to go through and see what you need for the achievements, for like the talent stuff, in both Heroes Realm and Sword Trial, which is really nice, because that definitely, I love a little bit more ease of access for in terms of UI stuff. So it is nice that it just straight up just shows you like which ones you need and how to do it and stuff like that, without you having to go in and out of different menus. I think that's always a big huge plus. And here's an interesting thing that they added, which is the Never Delay feathers for the Sword Trial and the Heroes Realm. So what that is, it's you basically at the very beginning of the Sword Trial, you choose a phase, like all phases to complete all phases, fill in challenge, or phase 1 only. And you get the feathers when your team members collect the chest, not you, but the team members. And that and you get different feathers depending on which one you chose. So that gives a little more incentive to stay there and wait until other people have picked up the chest and stuff like that, instead of just like leaving immediately or rage quitting, which would still happen. But it gives a little bit more incentive to stay there and help people with the trials or the Heroes Realm, instead of just like rage quitting. Here's something that they added that is really nice, especially for people who love min-maxing and want to see how much damage they're doing, or for like DPS, or for a healer, because they have one for healers as well. So it's basically a test dummy, and oh, that's not right. It's basically a test dummy, and you you know, you see how much damage you're doing, how much your inner ways, or not your inner ways, see how much the inner ways stacking are doing damage, or if they're helping, and kind of testing out what works and what doesn't. I always love having a test dummy so that you can see if you're actually doing damage or not, or if like your build is doing a good job. So they have one for healer as well, and it's basically kind of mimicking the teammate stuff. So the stakes are teammates instead of enemies, and you're healing them to or you're seeing how much healing you do per second. Speaking of min-maxing, what they added is something that could be a game changer for a lot of people. So in your bag, when you do recycling, before you would have to manually choose it, or you know, go through and recycle each individual one. Now they have an auto recycle. So they have an auto recycle and an auto repair. And when you get gear, depending on the setting, it will automatically recycle. So right now there's no condition at the moment. So even when it was on, I don't think it was doing anything. For the retrieve gear, if you've recycled something, or you've used it for attunement or something, or it auto recycled and you're like, oh no, shoot, then you can get that back by, on this screen. So for example, like I click on this, and it costs how the normal amount of, like, if you had recycled and you would get the large, for example, like if I had recycled this epic gear, I would have gotten 3 large tuning stones back. So in order to retrieve the gear, it would cost me 3 to get it back. And instead of going through recycling, you can, or for the auto recycling, you can, there's a little cogwheel up here that you can click that automatically goes into it. I like to have them both closed. I like to manually do it. I know how, I have a lot of slots. For those who don't know, you can just buy extra slots over here, and it would open up more slots. So I have bought a lot of them already. So I have a lot of gear slots. I'm actually lacking in gear rather than having too much. But I know for people who have not bought any, it is very easy to fill up your bag. So having that option there is really nice. The in that same vein with gear, now for attunement, they've added some things that are really nice. Hold on, if I can just, there you go. For attunement, they added something that's really nice. They have an add all button. So basically what that is, it's basically an automatically add, and it just goes to the next tier. And then you could just keep on pressing it, and it would keep adding more. Also, I want to talk about the shells over here. So there are these shells that you get that it guaranteed a legendary tuning trait when you use them. So it's the same as one of these ones with the tuned affix trait that you get from other gear. And you get this randomly when you tune something, and I believe I think it's a random proc chance that you get when you're tuning a legendary gear, because I have not been able to get that consistently, and but it does proc pretty often. I highly recommend tuning one trait at a time in order to see if you get one of these or not. I have gotten the platinum shell one time. It is a very rare drop, and what that is, it's basically, so for these traits that you get, see that this blue trait over here, there's a tiny little bar on the bottom of it. So I have about 60% of the trait stat that I could get from this trait. So 14 plus 14.4 is about 60% of the max stat that I could get for max Silkbind attack. So what I'm saying is, for the platinum shell, if you use a platinum shell instead of like the golden shell, it would give you a random trait, but it will be maxed out for that trait. It would be the max stat of any traits that you can get. So yeah, I don't have any to show you. For example, I've literally only got it once in the entire time. Other things that they've changed is for the Innerway, you can do way more conversions than you did before. I think it was only 4 before. Now you can do 8. So you can change it to, if you're doing one build and you want to change to a different build, especially if for any of the upcoming weapons and stuff like that, and you want to change to that, you can do so. Also, you weren't able to change the general ones to anything before, but now you can, which is great, and I wish they did it earlier. Here's something for people who are really interested in the fashion portion of the game. A little interesting thing that they did is they I noticed this. They added a wind thing. I don't know if that was there before. I feel like it wasn't, but the fact that they added a wind thing to see if how the outfit kind of goes when there's wind versus when there's not wind. You can hide the scenario. I don't know if these were already in here. They added the new extras, which is for posing. So before you just chose one, and this would be your idling pose. So if you're not doing anything, your character would be doing that. Now you can switch it on to random, which is super nice because then you can choose multiple and then it will kind of cycle through it, or not cycle through it, but it would just choose a random pose, and every once in a while it would change it up. And this is something interesting if you have not joined a sect yet or have left yours like I have. So if you're looking to join one and you don't know which one to join, they've added something called the Divination. So if you go into Jianghu Harvestful Village and you turn around, there is a guy right here that you can talk to kind of have a little personality quiz and see which sect would be the best fit for you. So I like these. These are fun. So it just asks a series of questions and then be like, this is the one that fits you better. And yeah, it's a little bit of a personality test. And so if you're not unsure which ones you should join, then you should try the Divination and at least see, or just see which one fits you better. Now, another thing that they added is the joint punishment. So if you've done a lot of crime, or you and your friend have done a lot of crime, then both of you can choose to, instead of doing a singular punishment for the pardon parade, you can do a collective punishment instead. And what that is, it's basically both of you do the pardon parade instead. So now there's 2 of you, and that also affects your sentence. It looks almost exactly the same. It just shows which one's the primary offender and which one's the not. So but it is if you and your friend like to do a lot of crime together, then you can do a joint punishment instead. Sworn brothers forever. Another thing that I really like that they added for a little extra UI stuff is the must buy tab. So basically what it is, it's what you must buy per month. It's a little like extra, and you can just go to shops and just like favorite it and it will show up here. And it's really nice because it's like you don't have to go through the multitude of different shops just to find this one thing that you need to buy every single week. So it's nice that you have that, so it's all just like congregated here, and you can just buy whichever one that you need, or whichever one, and it's just much simpler. It is just like, again, little UI things, and having them all in a more accessible area for me to just go through and do what I need to do is much better than traversing through all the different menus and trying to find the one thing that I like. Where was that again? And like going through and trying to find the one thing and buying that. So I actually really like this. This feels like such a minor thing, like a super minor thing, but it's super helpful, and I do really like that. It would be nice if they have maybe like a must-buy icon on the main menu, so you don't have to go into shop and then go into offers, which is kind of a little counterintuitive, putting it under offers instead of like items or something like that, and having the must-buy in here. The trials, they've added a new title reward called the Abyss Conqueror. If you complete the Abyss trial and don't take any damage, then you get one of the titles, and then I guess it just adds to it. I don't know. I don't have one, obviously, you can tell. Another thing that they've changed that I really like is that they've changed the errands. So this is a nice one. I got a couple that are new. So this is definitely new. The change outfit is new. The use any means to earn commerce coins is new. So there are new Sect Jianghu Errands that you can do now, which is some of them that range from really easy to really hard. But I like that they've added a couple new ones because, you know, to kind of like change it up a little bit, because I think I've been kind of a little tired from the old ones. Another thing that I think is really, really cool is that they've added kind of a guide system. Any new accounts that have been made in the last 2 weeks are considered fledgling swallows, and if you pair yourself, if you've been playing for a while and you're not a new player, then you become a guide swallow, or you are a guide swallow, and you can pair yourself with a fledgling swallow, and you will get more points for doing so. Like for example, like when they earn talent points or whatever, or they do the trial and everything like that, or they complete any of these things with the any of these things that you do with your fledgling, you will get points for that, and then you get, you know, rewards for doing so. So it's a little bit more incentive to help newer players. I know that it's definitely hard for people to be like, hey, do you want me to help you and stuff like that, especially for older players to new players or whichever one, because we're all introverts somehow. Or some sort of like matchmake instead of me actually putting myself out there. I think that would be a lot better. Like you're kind of putting your hat in the ring and be like, hey, I'm willing to be a guide swallow, and then someone who just newly created the game and was like, hey, I'm willing to be a fledgling swallow, and then it would like matchmake. I think it would be a lot better if they did that, because some new players don't want to have someone guiding them and stuff like that, or someone who's super over leveled helping them in everything. I can't imagine how many messages new players probably get and like, hey, do you need help? I want to help you and stuff like that. And that's probably really annoying. Also, another thing that I've noticed is that they've added chat options. So now you can kind of customize how your chat goes or any notifications that you receive. So you can set it a little better. Here's one thing that is 100% super not shadow drop, or is 100% super shadow dropped, and I don't know if anybody noticed, but I've noticed that if you go into the water and then you walk out of it, your character sometimes, it doesn't happen all the time, will kind of, yeah, we'll have an animation where they're wiping the water off of them, and I think that's super cool, because I don't think that was a thing before. It was so shadow dropped that I feel like I was being gaslit, because I was like, I feel like that wasn't a thing before, but then my friends have remarked about it too, so I'm not crazy. I don't think I am. I don't think that was a thing before. So yeah, that's the end of the list of updates that they did for version 1.2. There's a couple things that I haven't mentioned, like the photo mode upgrades and the signposts. These are things that I don't really use myself, but for people who do use them, it's a little exciting for them to explore and find yourself. But yeah, if you want to look at the list, it is every time you open up the game, it's right there, or it's on their homepage. or on their Discord, whichever one. You can read out their comprehensive list. But I'm excited for more updates or whichever one, because this is crazy. Version 1.2 and there's already like so many updates and things that they've changed to make it better or to make it worse. So far I haven't really seen too much of the that they've made it worse. There is that button press thing that is annoying people right now, but you can change that apparently in the settings. So if you find that you don't like if you don't like holding is it LT or R2? If you don't like holding R2, then you can change that in the settings and just go back to tapping instead. So I hope that helps. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope this helped anyone who was interested in the new update. And yeah, I might be putting out more videos. I don't know. Alrighty. Have a good one. Bye bye.